travel. You know, we want to know, and what some people really put on their live it list is something that hits you deep to the core. What is that one trip that's going to hit you deep to your core, get you all the way to your gut, and say, I want to do this when you're that soul searcher? And for many, it is going to the Holy Land, or Israel. Bruce represents a company called EDI, and we actually just got to meet the owner of EDI Travel yesterday. He flew in from Israel, and he was incredible to talk to. And Bruce will talk to you a little bit about that. But I wanted to ask him, what is the most impactful portion of this trip? What experience in Israel is the most impactful portion of the journey that you'll take when going to the Holy Land?
So good evening, welcome. Shalom.
Shalom.
Easy, that's the only Hebrew I know. So, however, spending the week with the owner of the company, who is a seventh generation Israeli, I did learn the word ken. In Hebrew means yes. So just keep that in mind. So when you're traveling through Israel with us and you hear the word ken, it means yes. They're not saying somebody's name. All right, so it's nice to be here. We thought, you know, there's no other better destination in the world than Israel when it comes to soul searching. Because I think at the end of the day, when we talk about Israel and the Holy Land, and by the way, when I say the Holy Land, I mean the one in Israel, not the one on I-4. So just as an FYI, we are talking about the real place in Israel, because, you know, when it comes to getting the opportunity to literally walk in the footsteps of Jesus, say hallelujah. Hallelujah. There is no other place in the world that can deliver what Israel will deliver. Because this is an amazing week that our folks spent with us. They get the opportunity to see destinations like Jerusalem, like Bethlehem, sail the Sea of Galilee. This is an incredible week for everyone that travels with us. And I think regardless of your kind of belief, you know, level of faith, you come back a different person. It's an important week for our folks, and it's therefore a very popular trip for everyone that's joining us in Israel. Here we actually see a picture of the Sea of Galilee. Our hotel room generally overlooks the Sea of Galilee. Can you imagine the inspirational moment as you stand in your hotel room and look out across the Sea of Galilee? That's an amazing way to start the day. The next week will be full of amazing journeys each day. Really incredible. So it's a beautiful week. Here we actually see parts of Jerusalem, because this trip is going to be a trip full of memories and a wonderful opportunity to really experience Christianity, as well as see kind of the other side of the Israeli coin. Because what you also see when you're in country is a very modern, a very Western country. The city of Tel Aviv, for example, 4 million people, modern, Western, beautiful city. Right on the shore of the Mediterranean, across the street from downtown Tel Aviv, is a beautiful beach. So Israel ends up being this very, I think, different destination than a lot of us imagine. But we're going, I think, for the same reason generally. It's to experience the country, meet its people, and walk in the footsteps of Jesus.
Very good, thank you. So, does EDI only focus on Christian trips?
Well, in a way we do, because although the owner of the company, Boaz, who you met yesterday, Boaz Shelgi, seventh generation Israeli, so his family is from Israel for many generations, 10% of our business is actually Jewish heritage tours, and he, of course, is Jewish. So 10% of our business is Jewish heritage tours. However, 90% are generally Christian tour groups coming with us, because those are folks, and this really is why they're coming. They want to get that opportunity to experience the Bible, bring it to life, and really see, touch, and taste something that they've learned so much in their life about. Getting the chance to experience it themselves, that's why they're there. So 90% of our business, interestingly enough, are Christian tour groups. But we do both.
Okay, very interesting. All right, so the next question is for Matt. Can you hear me now okay? No? I'm getting shakes of the head no. If I project loudly, can you hear me okay? Because I can talk.
There you go.
Okay, so the next question's for Matt, and it's about Iceland. And really, for other people who think about soul searching, there's other things, and maybe it is wildlife. For me, it's checking out those is exploring the world for the northern lights. Those beautiful dancing lights in the sky, the gorgeous colors, the changing of the lights. So Matt, tell us why 2017 is really going to be a huge time to go for the soul searcher on the hunt for the northern lights or the aurora borealis. What's so important to go see the northern lights in 2017?
So thank you, Amanda. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. Excellent. First off, I want to ask, do we have any physicists in here? One. Okay, don't hold me to that. But I have some very interesting information that you may or may not know about Iceland's northern lights, the aurora borealis. It's a solar phenomenon, and it's quite unique in that it goes in 10-year cycles. 10-year cycles. So every 10 years it is either specifically brilliantly illuminated or it's specifically dimmed. We are at the end of a 10-year cycle in 2016 into 2017. So from 2017 on, for the next 10 years after that, they will be dimmed. And Iceland is the land of ice and fire. That's what it's known for. And the fire, as you can imagine, is the northern lights, the aurora borealis, as you can see this beautiful picture here, but it's also known as the land of ice. Well, Iceland. It has so much to offer, and during this time, in 2016 to 17, why not go when it has one of the most beautiful phenomena naturally found in the world going on, and at one of its highest peaks? And not just that, but they're really celebrating it in Iceland. They're really taking pride in the fact that they have this to offer. So not only is it a natural phenomenon, but it's something that the Icelandic people are really focusing on to making a unique experience for every traveler that comes to experience it with them. So it's very inherent in their culture, and it's very important to go when it's in this, at the end of this 10-year period, because as the physicists are projecting that it's not going to enter its next 10-year phase until the beginning of 2027. So we're in a very special time here where we can see it in the next year or so. And you can see here over the city of Reykjavik that light pollution is not as big a factor as it is here. I mean, have you ever walked in downtown Orlando or New York and looked up and tried to see a star? Iceland does not have that problem. You can see the stars, you can see the beautiful aurora borealis. Why not go when it's still there?
Wow, that's gorgeous.
I did not Photoshop these, promise you.
They're gorgeous. So, I know that we have a trip put together. This next question is for you as well. Will you tell us a little bit about some of the main highlights on a trip, especially because we're going, in February? Will you tell us a little bit about some of the highlights to go on?
The Blue Lagoon is really on the top of one of those Live It lists.
The Live It list.
The Live It list that many people have, their bucket list, and why not cross it off?
So you mean to tell me that everybody talking about bringing their parkas and the cold weather outfits, I can just tell them that they're going to go in their 99-degree heated pool there?
Jump in the Blue Lagoon. You won't need those parkas. It is absolutely fantastic. Year-round as well. Year-round.
Very nice. Thank you. All right, the next question is going to be for Bruce. And we just heard a little bit about our itinerary with Iceland. We also have a group trip going that Kathy's going on, going to Israel. And Bruce is going to talk. I'm sure that he's like really jazzed up because he just got done with the owner of the company. And I'm sure that he's really excited to talk to you a little bit today about his itinerary. So will you tell us a little bit about the itinerary that our group will be going on with you?
So coming up in March 2017, Kathy will be escorting the group, so if you're traveling with us, she will be your lovely host. In fact, she booked her first 2 folks yesterday. So we're well on our way to having what will turn out to be a beautiful group headed to Israel in March 2017. So generally speaking, when we take groups to Israel, and I've done this trip, so I'm very familiar with it, it was amazing. Generally speaking, when we take our folks to Israel, and keep in mind that Israel as a country is about the size of New Jersey, right? It's a very small country. Everything seems like it's 20 minutes away, so it's very easy for us to get around the country and around the different destinations that we need to see. They're all close by. Bethlehem, for example, is 20 minutes outside Jerusalem. So it's all nearby in retrospect. But generally speaking, what we do on our tours, and the trip that we have starts March the 10th. We'll leave the United States, fly overnight, arrive in Israel March the 11th in Tel Aviv, and then spend the next 9 days in country, come back on the 10th day. So generally speaking, what we do, though, we take our folks, we're going to spend about 4 nights or so in northern Israel, and that generally is in the city of Tiberias. The city of Tiberias, named, of course, after one of the Roman emperors. We're going to spend time in Tiberias because that really is going to be our hub for the next few days as we go out and see some of northern Israel's most iconic and important destinations, because as we know, Jesus spent about 3 years of his ministry in northern Israel, right? So while we're there, we're seeing places like Cana. What took place in Cana? The first miracle, right? Where he turned the water to wine. We go and visit the city of Capernaum. Capernaum is where St. Peter lived, and of course, Jesus stayed with St. Peter during those 3 years' ministry. We sail the Sea of Galilee one morning. We travel through the Golan Heights. We visit the Mount of Beatitudes. So we're going to spend a busy 4 days seeing the local sites in and around the city of Tiberias. And Tiberias itself is on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and a beautiful city. We then come down and spend the next 5 days or so in the middle of the country, central Israel. And what's changed is northern Israel is very lush, very green, very mountainous, and full of the previous 4 days. It's a desert-like region. We're going to spend the next five days in the middle of the country, because there we go and see Jerusalem, which is our hub, Masada, here we see Cana, by the way, Masada, the Dead Sea, the city of Bethlehem, Qumran, where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947. That's an amazing story I wish I had time for. You're going to have amazing stories every day. That's just one of many. Wait till you get to Masada. Stand at the top of Masada, King Herod's palace, and overlook the Dead Sea. I can assure you, that's an amazing day. So you're going to spend 5 days in the middle of the country, seeing Jerusalem and all of its surrounding important cities, and end up with an incredible week, full of lots of great memories. And many, many times during that trip, you have each day walked in the footsteps of Jesus once more. It's a powerful week, I can assure you. We had folks in our group, including a priest, who was with us. Here's a man in the cloth, knows the Bible well. This week brings the Bible to life. It's now 3D. To watch a priest cry each day because this was such an important experience for him, that's what makes this trip so special. Quite a thing. Here we see the Jordan River, by the way. Crossing the Jordan River, quick story. Crossing the Jordan River, funny story, because, you know, as they're telling us today, we crossed the Jordan River like the Israelites coming into the Promised Land. We're excited, can't wait. We get to the Jordan River, it's about 10 feet wide. I have to admit, I was expecting the mighty Mississippi. I didn't know. I was expecting a big river, right? We get to the Jordan River that day, 10 feet wide. Couldn't believe it. But it's an amazing day. It's an important part of the day. And of course, we go and visit the spot where John the Baptist baptized Jesus. And for those folks in our group and Kathy's group that day that would like to be baptized at that spot in the Jordan River, we will make it happen. That's an amazing day.
And then, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so this is just a quick picture of the city of Cana. So as I mentioned, when we're spending the first 4 days in northern Israel, right, one of the cities, one of the destinations that we'll go out and see that day is the city of Cana. And of course, this is where Jesus' first miracle took place, turning the water to wine. Once again, I think what was interesting for all of us, including myself, was what we read and what we think versus reality ends up being often very different. Here, for example, what we see are the vessels that actually held the water country, but they're all faced We're not there to convert anyone, change anyone, preach to anyone. We're there simply to give this background of this incredible country that some of us, in some way, have an interest in learning more about. So it really is a wonderful opportunity. With the group, in fact, that we have with Roseborough Travel and that Kathy's escorting, in addition to seeing the holy sites, right, Cana and Jerusalem and Bethlehem and all the rest, you're going to go on a Jeep safari. You're going to get a chance to swim in the Dead Sea. That's an amazing day. That's a lot of fun because it's so salty, you will not sink. Completely impossible. You'll float on the surface of the water and read a newspaper. It's the wildest thing in the world, right? We're actually included in their trip, in fact, is a half a day doing a little bit of an archaeological dig. So what you're seeing is this trip is a lot more than just the religious history. That's a part of it, of course, because it's Israel. It's the Holy Land. But we also want to make sure this is a well-rounded experience, and you get a chance to see and do a lot. And that's exactly what this trip will incorporate. And you'll see cities like Tel Aviv, which is a beautiful modern city. Very, very interesting. Gorgeous. We as a company, though, we offer these trips year-end and week after week. So whether this particular date in March fits your schedule or not, if not, we have many other dates you can pick from. Travel with us and experience the same trip throughout the entire year. Because Israel is a year-round destination. It's not a seasonal. It's year-round. Their weather conditions are really very similar to Florida, except they have no humidity. So it's kind of nice. So even in the summertime when it was 90, we went in July, it was 92 in the afternoon. It was 65 at night. We'd sit on the balcony at the hotel in Jerusalem and enjoy the evening. So even in the summertime, it was nice.
So no need for parkas packing on this trip.
Not on this particular trip, yeah, and especially in March. March really is a beautiful time to be in Israel, quite frankly. It's like a Florida March at that point, so it's beautiful. It's nice temperatures, 60s and 70s, and gorgeous. And you'll find that, you know, it's casual. There's no ball gowns and tuxedos required for Israel, so that's not something you've got to worry about packing. It turns out to be a very casual, comfortable experience, and really wonderful.
Very good. So the next question is going to put you on the spot. And I know you can handle it, because I did this to Boaz yesterday. And it's a question that all of you would ask us. It's rightfully so. And I think you have a great answer for it.
Do you have that slide? Is there a slide for that one? I think I actually...
There is a slide for it. We asked Boaz right there when he was sitting with us yesterday. We did a training.
No way would they ever do anything to harm the tourists. And you discovered that this is going to be a very, very safe trip, very friendly trip, and very warm and welcoming toward us the entire journey, throughout the entire 9 days that we're in country. What you're seeing here, in any given week, there are 70,000, 250,000 a month, 70,000 American tourists in country, any given week. 7 million a year, in other words, right? So what does that turn into? That turns into lots of folks that are all coming back safe, not being harmed, and wishing they had done this trip so much sooner. Because what we see from our side are the same groups, the same churches, the same folks. Once they've been, come back over and over and over and over. Because the moment they arrived, they realized that this is going to be a safe trip, and now they were wishing they had done this a lot sooner. So it actually turns out to be a wonderful, safe, and friendly destination.
It's really
But it's a fair question.
Yeah, because after I was shocked at the number of Americans, especially, who are in Israel at any given time. I did not know those facts and figures. And when Kathy was talking to her clients the other day, yesterday, after Boaz left, we thought, wow, that's a lot of American tourists who are there any given time. That's amazing. It's an amazing number of people. And that is their number one on their limit list. They want to go so bad. And they said, you know, I kick my
my granddaughter went, my brother went. Every time somebody comes home saying, I wish I had gone. So it was really a thing. It's like everybody keeps coming back safe, and you just put it on the top of your limit. So, perfect. And that actually was one of your slides. Did these go with your?
Well, they were just additional slides for things to talk about, so it's up to you, and when you're ready for Matt, I'm ready for Matt too.
All right. So, Matt, the next question is for you. We want to know a little bit about your itinerary, the itinerary of what we'll be doing.
Sure.
Will you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So we have 2 Iceland itineraries, and this is our one that we're highlighting because, frankly, it's been the most popular, the most sought after, and we've been doing Iceland for years now for good reason. This is our Iceland's Magical Northern Lights, the itinerary that we have, especially with Roseborough Travel. And you're flying in and out of the western coast of Reykjavik, down and the southern coast at Vik. It's a wonderful place. You're seeing things such as the Thingvellir National Park, which is absolutely breathtaking landscapes and stretches beyond imagination, and it culminates with these beautiful mountainscapes that you see on the horizon. And you can really, Iceland's a relatively interesting country because you don't always picture it as being vast, but when you're there, it just seems so expansive and has so much to offer, such as these national parks, and they're really scattered all around the landscape there. So you're spending time in these national parks, you're spending time in these geysers, these thermal geysers that are absolutely magnificent, that go off year-round. They're actually fields, expansive fields of them, and you're going to be taking tours of them. Now, you have the option when you get into Reykjavik to do a city tour. You can, it's a very, very modern, but very, very traditional city with these colorful row houses. It is absolutely beautiful before you get out into the Icelandic terrain, which is an experience in and of itself. So you have a wonderful introduction to the Icelandic people, and you have that option for the city tour. And of course, you have a tour manager with you throughout the entire time. And it's a Collette tour manager. They're some of the best in the industry, I feel very confident in saying. And Iceland has been one of our most popular products for them, and because it has so much to offer. So you're stationed in this town of Vik, and it's out in the countryside. It's a converted and restored farmhouse as your hotel. Now, don't let that put you off, because it is in a perfect, absolutely incredible location where you can walk out at night, look amongst the stars, and see the aurora borealis. And that's why we chose it, because instead of having you city center only throughout the entire tour and then busing you out to these places during the evening just to look at the aurora borealis for a few hours, maybe a couple minutes, we want you to be able to stay within view of the most important places that you can see them. It really is a perfectly located hotel. And that's kind of your hub and spoke, where you're going out to the Gullfoss waterfalls, Thingvellir National Park, these volcanic museums and these volcanic sites that are absolutely incredible parts of the landscape. So it is a wonderful hub and spoke type of tour when you're down in Vik. And the best part about it is only 2 hotels. So not much packing and unpacking. You're seeing a lot that the country has to offer. And my favorite part would probably be the Blue Lagoon, and that's back on your trip back towards the eastern coast. So it is absolutely incredible. And you're flying back out of Reykjavik, so your last evening is actually spent in the city with your farewell dinner that you have there, which is all traditional Icelandic cuisine, prepared by the locals, all locally grown. So it's a wonderful, immersive culinary experience for you as well. And I think the next slide is kind of a synopsis of everything that you're seeing. Now, wherever you see a number, those are the amount of nights that you're staying. So you see the 2 nights in Reykjavik and the 3 nights in Vik. Every one of those little white dots that you see is a day trip that you're going out, that you're going to see. So it's a very inclusive itinerary. You're seeing a lot that Iceland has to offer. And you're even getting up towards the, the eastern part of Iceland, which has some of the most beautiful portions of geographic territory that I've ever seen. So it is absolutely wonderful. And I'll give anyone $100 if they can pronounce that volcano visitor center. But if you can't pronounce it correctly, you have to give me $100. Does that sound all right? It's okay, you don't have to give me $100. But it...
Oh, you're
Asia Viaje Juko.
That's what I was.
That's, yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
done.
what
Safest places to visit in the world. They're absolutely enamored with this because they love the tourism industry. And it goes back, thousands of years for their hospitality, but even before that, you get to have some of the history of the Viking culture that is there, and the way of life, and how it has influenced them nowadays in the Skógafoss Museum. So you're really getting immersed in the Icelandic culture, how it was then, and how it translates to now. And it really is a beautiful experience to have.
Very interesting, thank you.
Of course.
I have a question for the audience. How many people have been to Israel in the past? Been to Israel. How many people are interested in going to Israel? Very good. How many people have been to Iceland? No one?
I have.
Oh, one, okay. Two? Two, okay, three. How many people are interested in going to Iceland? Very interesting, okay, okay. Who has questions? I've got a question, okay.
Could you explain the money exchange in both countries?
Sure.
Is it euro dollars?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, sure. The Iceland is on the euro, and it is very favorable nowadays compared against the US dollar in terms of exchange rates. If you are traveling to, this is my personal recommendation, Europe, specifically with the euro, but Iceland in particular, I recommend that you exchange money when you get to the destination, but not in the airport. So it's a very, very favorable time to travel when the US dollar is matched up against the euro, as it is now. But it's very readily available. They're not too particular about paying in the euro. You can, in local places you can pay in US dollars, but it's, the local little mom and pop stores, I would recommend having some small change
Would it be
points in
better
euro.
to use a credit card?
You can absolutely use the credit card. However, some people like to pay in cash. They do accept credit cards at most places that you can go in the major shops in Reykjavik and things like that. But when you're out in Vik, that area, it's more out in the rural country of Iceland. So I would recommend having some euro coins and some small bills just to have on you. But they're very, very accommodating. They don't mind the US dollar, but the euro is very, very accommodating right now too.
So with Israel, and kind of picture Israel as almost being a 51st United States, because when you're there, the U.S. dollar is accepted everywhere, including the streets, including the merchants. So you will not have to convert any money to the shekel. We never did. We used the U.S. dollar everywhere, or credit cards, of course, so either way is fine. The dollar conversion is quite good. It's about 4 to 1, so the shopping is excellent, quite honestly. But nevertheless, you can use the U.S. dollar everywhere that you go, so you're not having to get anything converted. Makes it very simple. Just use the U.S. dollar, and you're all set. Yes?
What other questions? Yes.
What type of travel, mode of transportation have you been using between?
Great question. Mode of transportation to get around on your tours.
So it is a motor coach tour. Now that means, I know motor coach, people are thinking school buses or these long train caravans of motor coaches, but what we do is our full bus comfortably holds 55, but for this tour and most of our other tours, we cap it at 44. So there's plenty of room to move around. The average on all of our Collette Classics line of tours, that's what we call the groups of this size, the average departure has about 39 passengers on board, so there's a little extra room. So, what's that?
Bathroom?
There, 99.9% of the time, there is a bathroom on board, a restroom on board the coach. In some small cases, it may not be available. However, that's the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time, I should say. And they're all climate controlled. They're all state-of-the-art climate controlled ways of getting around Iceland. It's all excellent, and you don't have to worry about wearing your huge winter jackets or anything like that inside the coach, because it's very comfortable. Yes?
Is there a lot of walking?
Very good question. So, if you do the city tour in Reykjavik, I'll kind of start with a brief overview. It's a 2-hour city tour. There is walking through downtown Reykjavik. There are large portions of it that have cobblestone streets. There are a lot of portions that are paved as well, due to the landscape. So it depends on how comfortable you are with walking and how often you do it here. When you're getting out into the landscape, when you're driving on the motor coach, obviously you're not having to walk up these huge, mountainscapes. But for the waterfalls, particularly the Skógafoss waterfall, or excuse me, the Gullfoss waterfall, there is an incline. There are some places. However, if it is a challenge for you, we can consult with our tour managers to accommodate that. If this is truly on your bucket list, I do want to make one point, and I feel obligated to make it. Iceland is not very conducive to wheelchairs or scooters, so that is not something that we can accommodate on our tours. That's in the respect that we want to set the right expectation for you that there is some walking, particularly in the city tours, but there's only one main city tour in Reykjavik. That's where you're going to be doing the majority of the walking. However, the rest of the tour, it's largely everywhere that you need to go.
As I mentioned, everything literally seems like it's all 20 minutes away. So we stay in one spot for 3 or 4 or 5 days. You go out each day and see the sights, come back. You go out by way of motor coach for the day. And so it's brand new, beautiful motor coach. They carry 59. We usually have about 30 people on the tour. And so there's plenty of room. But they all do have Wi-Fi. So it's just an easy way to get around. Israel itself, though, as we know, is a country that's 2,000 plus years old. So I would say that's a great question when it comes to walking and handicap facilities, and is it friendly to those that might have some mobility issues. I would say those could be challenges, quite frankly, because in many of these destinations, you will be walking. When you get to parts of Masada, you can see in that one picture how big, quite frankly, Masada was. It's King Herod's palace. It's a massive, somewhere in there, it's a massive structure. When you're walking through Jerusalem is Bethlehem. When you're walking through Jerusalem is a 2,000-year-old city. It's all cobblestones, and it is quite a bit of walking. When you get to Bethlehem, and you go eventually see, there's Masada. When you get to Bethlehem, for example, and actually go down to see the spot where Jesus was born, what you do is you walk inside the Church of the Nativity, walk down 3 stories into the cave that Jesus was born in. Jesus was not born outside in a stable or a manger that we kind of imagine it to be. You walk 3 stories down under the church, into the cave, into the grotto that Jesus was born in. There was an older gentleman with us. He was probably in his 90s or, not sure, but he was there with his kids. His kids carried him down those steps. Why? Because this was something he had to do. This was not just something to do today. This was an important moment in his life, because he knew eventually, as he did, when his kids got him down there, and he knelt down and placed his hand inside the Star of Bethlehem and touched the spot that Jesus was born, I can assure you, that's a moment he will never forget. It's an amazing week. But, nevertheless, you're in a city that's 2,000 years old. You're in a country that has lots of history. So parts of it do require some amounts of walking. So it's a great question, because we have to be somewhat careful in the folks that go with us, simply because that will be part of the experience. And if they want to enjoy every bit of it, then we have to feel comfortable enough knowing, and they should feel comfortable enough knowing what to expect. So it's a really, really great question.
So as long as you can climb on top of the camel.
Facilities, and is it friendly to those that might have some mobility issues? I would say those could be challenges, quite frankly, because in many of these destinations, you will be walking. When you get to parts of Masada, you can see in that one picture how big, quite frankly, Masada was. It's King Herod's palace. It's a massive, somewhere in there, it's a massive structure. When you're walking through Jerusalem is Bethlehem. When you're walking through Jerusalem is a 2,000-year-old city. It's all cobblestones, and it is quite a bit of walking. When you get to Bethlehem, and you go eventually see, there's Masada. When you get to Bethlehem, for example, and actually go down to see the spot where Jesus was born, what you do is you walk inside the Church of the Nativity, walk down 3 stories into the cave that Jesus was born in. Jesus was not born outside in a stable or a manger that we kind of imagine it to be. You walk 3 stories down under the church, into the cave, into the grotto that Jesus was born in. There was an older gentleman with us. He was probably in his 90s or, you know, not sure. But he was there with his kids. His kids carried him down those steps. Why? Because this was something he had to do. This was not just something to do today. This was an important moment in his life. Because he knew eventually, as he did, when his kids got him down there, and he knelt down and placed his hand inside the Star of Bethlehem and touched the spot that Jesus was born, I can assure you, that's a moment he will never forget. It's an amazing week. But, nevertheless, you're in a city that's 2,000 years old. You're in a country that has lots of history. So parts of it do require some amounts of walking. So it's a great question because we have to be somewhat careful in the folks that go with us, simply because that will be part of the experience. And if they want to enjoy every bit of it, then we have to feel comfortable enough knowing, and they should feel comfortable enough knowing what to expect. So it's a really, really great question.
So as long as you can climb on top of the camel, then you're
Do you really get the opportunity to ride a camel?
We actually do. Well, I know that this one has a Jeep safari, and I think, yeah, generally, because when we're there looking when we're at the Kidron Valley, overlooking the Kidron Valley into Jerusalem, they actually bring some camels up for us, and we rode them that day. It was a lot of fun. So you will get that opportunity. It was a lot of fun.
We're used to, but keep in mind it's Iceland. It's a beautiful landscape, but the weather is a little cooler than where we are.
Okay, so we have a few things. We still can ask questions, but we're going to give the vendors and our panelists specific questions if you can ask them individually. So we've got a prize to give away, and we have a few things to go over. I know a lot of you, I'm very impressed with how many of you were interested in both options. So what we're doing is, if you are interested in more information on either tour, and it doesn't have to be our group tour, it can be on either vendor, on either option. If you are interested in booking a tour to either destination, get with Tiffany today and set up an appointment to come into the office with anybody, any one of Roseborough's representatives, and we will give you $50 towards your booking. All you have to do is make an appointment. Okay, you don't have to give us money today or anything like that. But the incentive is make your appointment today. Okay? $50 travel cash towards your booking. Okay?
Per person?
Per booking.
Per booking.
Per booking. So it is $50 per booking towards your Israel or Iceland tour. Okay? And all you have to do is just meet with Tiffany. You can, Matt and Bruce will hang out and answer any questions that you have. Okay? Right? You guys don't.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Bring it
and then the same thing, Greta has actually been to Israel as well. So she will answer questions for you about Israel, as well as Kathy will answer any questions about Israel that you may have as well, to kind of help out with it. If you have questions in specific or anything like that, we'll all help out with any questions that you may have, okay? So we're going to draw a prize. Ooh, okay?
We have 2.
Country, because it's the summer and it's when more people have vacation times. You see more families because, of course, the kids are out of school. So we chose March. One of the many reasons was because it's kind of an off-season, not nearly as busy. So it's a great question because it means that you're not having to stand in long lines to go see the Church of the Nativity and walk the 14 Stations of Christ and all the rest. Where in the summertime, you will, because it's lots and lots of people. It's like going to Disney World, you know, in June. Forget it. It's busy.
It's funny, Bruce, actually, Shirley
spearheaded a group going to the I-4 Holy Land. And it was incredible. It was a really good.
That gives you a little bit of a taste of what you're about to
It was a
experience in the
taste.
country.
So you should spearhead a group going to
There you
the
go,
real
there you go,
Holy Land.
go to the real one. Yes?
In March, what is the weather?
So the weather in March is beautiful in Israel, it's in the 60s, so it's, you know, it's in the 60s with no humidity, so it's just really beautiful, it's a great time to go, and it's one of the many reasons we chose March. So nice weather, yes?
Does Israel have a needle gate outside of Israel?
Do they have what?
A needle gate?
Needle Gate.
Yeah. From the olden days, camels used to go through the side.
We actually get to ride our camels through the eye of the needle.
No, I'm serious.
No, I honestly, I don't.
We'll find out.
Yes,
I've heard 50s through 70s, Israel,
yeah.
Iceland. Are we talking minus or plus? And also, is it 120 volt or 220 in Iceland? Or air dryers and stuff like that?
For hair dryers, I can check. That is a question that I have
You know,
not
would
been
that
asked
have a converter
before.
or not? You know?
It is colder during February
Below or plus?
than
Maybe
56.
zero in the middle.
Oh, normally, again, for the I can't predict the weather, however, most of the time, it is plus.
Okay.
But that's not to say by how much. So it has been known to be in the 30s, it has been known to be in the 20s in Fahrenheit. This is, keep in mind, in order to see the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, the best, and only if you're asking my personal opinion, time to see them, is in the winter months. So if you believe that it's worth it to put on a few extra layers in order to see, you know, oftentimes once in a lifetime occurrence, phenomena, that is going to be disappearing soon, then the weather is something that you'll have to, well, we all will, that are going, will, for lack of a better word, but it's very comfortable in the hotels. They're all climate controlled, obviously. You're not sleeping in igloos. And also, from point A to point B, your transportation is also climate controlled. So when you're out in the elements, it's, you know, a different.
Do you have any reason, do you know any reason why the Icelandic men are among the strongest in the world?
Because they have to survive those winters.
Are you Iceland?
I do not. Do you know what? Why? Oh, no,
You can't lead us on. Answer the question. That's a great one. What's the answer to it?
What's the answer? to
Yeah.
that? That's why I'm asking.
Oh, I thought you wanted to know. I didn't know.
They're just
I do
coming
not
up
know.
with
If I knew
questions
the
and
answer, I
stuff.
wouldn't.
Let's see if we
I
can
do
stop
not
now.
know.
Alright, one more question and then we have to wrap it up.
I do want to, real quick, if you don't mind, I do want to answer the question about the waterfall. So, the Gullfoss waterfall is part of, at the end of the river Hvita, and that is directly sourced from a glacier lake. So it is glacier water running over the falls and the Skógafoss waterfalls as well. Great question, and I think we all just learned something. So I wanted to be a teacher at some point, at one point, but a little personal fact. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I assume that the hotel cost is not included as part of the travel?
So what?
Okay.
Exactly. The hotels, most of your meals, the transportation, the tour manager, the sightseeing, the tickets to the museums, the tickets to the waterfalls, which you would normally have to purchase, are all included. And additionally, the airfare is included as well. So it's really a package trip. So really, you just have to sit back and relax. The only thing is a couple of options which are detailed in these flyers. If anyone doesn't have one, feel welcome to pick it up. And one namely is the city tour of Reykjavik. However, everything else, the cuisine is included, most of the meals, it's regional cuisine. Not eating in hotel restaurants every single night, you're getting local delicacies. So it's nice to have that packaged into one deal so you don't have to worry about that yourself.
Sounds good. Thank you both. Anybody with extra questions, feel free. Rush their tables. It's okay. They'll accept it. They'll love it.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.